Coming to you from the M&M Exterior Studio in Nokesville, Virginia, this is Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle, the introvert's extrovert. She talks to people so you don't have to. For now.
Welcome back to the after show, Flushing It Out, the full flush. We're here with our guest, Matt Jennings from M&M Exteriors, our podcast studio sponsor, as well as sound editor and husband, Jeremy Spittle.
Oh, I thought you forgot my name.
No, I was just trying to give you an extra little plug.
Your husband.
My husband, not your husband, my husband.
Be clear.
Yep, whatever. Okay, so we chatted about...
As to me, he is just the sound editor.
To you, yes.
Right, yeah.
For the purposes of this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
The guy behind the curtain.
I made it weird now. Go ahead.
So
we did
weird.
explore me sitting behind the curtain, like over there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that would have been not good.
No, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you commented, like,
Right.
whatever about me.
I'm here for you, Matt. I know she's angry at you.
Yeah.
I wasn't angry.
Spit it out.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, was that your real answer?
Was what my real answer?
For what do you want to stop talking about? Criminal?
Identifying violent people.
Yeah. Was that really your answer?
That was the only thing I could think of, but I mean...
But on the way
I should have
over-
had something a lot more fun than that. No, that was what I was thinking about on the way over. And then you asked me about the book and that kind of whatever.
Oh, well then that's okay. You can...
So, I mean, people are going to listen to it and think that I'm like not well-rounded or something.
Okay, well now's your chance to well-round
I'd rather
yourself.
talk about anything else other than like ground we've covered.
Really?
But some people might listen and be like, oh, I thought he was into finance law, not like criminal law.
Right. Well, I was into that for a while, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want? Let's do a new episode and let's talk about what you want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? What do you like talking about?
Oh, you don't want to talk about what I want to talk about, so it's okay.
Tax law?
No.
With feminism in the 21st century?
Well, that was my original idea. No,
But
what's the podcast for, Sam?
It's for the extrovert on behalf of the introverts.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're an introvert,
Then it's good
listening to you talk about sex, perfect fucking topic. That's what I'm trying to say.
for them. All right, cool. I'm glad you get that as my sponsor.
But no, I mean, I actually had I was trying to keep it short for
Yeah.
the courtesy flush. What was the first
The
thing
pit
called?
stop, the
pit
courtesy
stop,
flush. I
the
don't
pit
know. It's
stop.
whatever. It's
I was
whatever.
trying to keep it short.
The episode, the
but
main
I
episode.
had a lot more like detail, and you wanted me to come with stories. I had stories.
I want to hear the stories. Maybe we should redo the episode. Maybe this will turn into the regular episode.
No, I just, I mean, people want to know what it's like practicing law. I could tell you.
Yeah.
Because I got some good stories about that.
So what do you think the thing is that made, like, so you got divorced, and I don't know how much you want me to pry into that area.
You can pry. I'll answer or not, I
That's
guess.
right. Well, I don't even know if I have a question, but it's more, I'm curious, like, so what was, here's a question then, and you can decide what parts you want to share. You said you spent the 4 years working on that house and doing self-reflection. Right?
I love how you said that. That's
Why?
funny.
Yeah, I don't remember him saying.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
self-reflecting,
it's like I spent an hour hammering, and then I'm like,
pondering life.
and and then I go, sit on the floor cross-legged and burn incense. Something. That wasn't exactly it.
What did you say? I thought that's what you said. You took time. You invested in yourself. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Your nugget of truth.
I was doing something that I loved doing,
Yeah. So that's the question then. So you weren't sitting with incense having a healing session to make sense of your life.
Right.
You were hammering nails and stuff, but you were obviously thinking about, you had some, I would call them like come to Jesus moments, but
kind of. I mean,
so-
I found myself, I'm not married anymore. I'm in
Yeah.
Kansas City, where I'm not from.
Yep.
Right. At that time, I'd only been there. Well, at that time, I'd been there 10 years, I guess. No, I'd only been there 7 years. And I'm not practicing law anymore. And what do I want to do? I mean, I got to do something with my life, and I'm interested in all these different things. What am I going to do? How do I make it work? Where do I go from here?
Yeah.
I've always valued, well, one of my favorite people in the whole world, somebody I admire and look up to, Warren Buffett. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
Also from Omaha, Nebraska.
yeah, exactly. So, grew up with the kind of legend of whatever being near that. But Charlie Munger is his partner. And Warren is very calculated or political about what he says, and Charlie Munger has no filter. He just says it and it's awesome. So, Warren will take 10 minutes and explain something, and Charlie will sum it up in 30 seconds, and it's way more less polite, but also kind of more direct and whatever. Anyway, one of the things he talks about is how Charlie is how much he values independence, and that for him is the money that they have or whatever. It's not because he wants to live some lavish lifestyle. Yeah. It's just so he can do what he wants to do. Yeah. He doesn't have to answer to other people. He doesn't have to whatever.
Yeah.
And that's always been my thing.
Driving force to have the independence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have kind of financial wherewithal to where I don't have to show up at some job that I hate for the rest of my life. And there is a significant percentage, I believe, of people who practice law who don't like it.
Yeah. There's a percentage of lots of people who
No, it's true. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
They do,
yeah.
So.
And I know people that have practiced law their whole career and they never really liked it, but they did it. And that was never going to be me. So what am I going to do? I've always finance, investing, business, all these kinds of things have always been forefront of my mind.
But it's interesting how the roofing business kind of theoretically fell into your lap, or we kind of talked earlier about how the pieces fell into place. Because you had said, well, I would go into roofing, and then suddenly Melody got into roof. She came in your life, and then she gets into roofing, and then now you're starting a business. So it's kind of funny because I think that sometimes we want to plan our lives out, know the exact, especially with you want to, okay, I'm going to go to law school, then I'm going to become a lawyer, and then and it's there's the path, but then you kind of, I think that's why I'm so interested in kind of learning more, because it's you kind of shattered that system by quitting your job.
Yeah, I guess.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
You kind of walked away from that, but yet.
I mean, that's how I think of that part of my life, to be honest, is I kind of hit the reset button.
Yeah.
For me, you know, and people talk about go to college and find yourself or whatever. I never really did that. I went to college with I was very purposeful. Yeah. Thinking I wanted to go a certain direction, or that I needed to go a certain direction, or that I was expected to go, or whatever. And I'm 30, whatever I was at the time, 32, going, what am I doing with my life? Yeah. I married the wrong person. That didn't work out. Mm-hmm. But I married that person because on paper,
it seemed like it should.
Right. Mm-hmm. And real life is way different than how it looks on paper. And I practiced law, which I didn't really want to do. Yeah. But she wanted to move to Kansas City. Mm. And I got offered a lot of money by the biggest firm in town to come work for them. So what am I going to do?
Say no.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, and then I was like, what am I doing? I don't want to be doing this. Why am I... Mm-hmm. But when you've lived your whole life not thinking about what you really want, it takes you a while to figure it out. It didn't immediately go, oh, I've been doing X, but really I'm Y, or, whatever. That sounded like some chromosome thing right there. That almost went somewhere weird.
It's all right.
Yeah. But, I was like, I've been doing my whole life doing A, let's call it. I don't want to do A. Yeah. And then when the whole world is your oyster and it's open to you, that's kind of hard. That's terrifying. It was hard for me. Yeah. I could do anything I want. Wow. How do I narrow this down?
You can say it if you want.
Can we cuss on the podcast?
If you want, yeah. We can mark it explicit. Yeah.
Well, son of a bitch.
I've
been holding back. No.
You could have been cursing this whole time.
But yeah, I mean, and that was hard for me to go, okay, all right. So I'm not doing that anymore. All right. Cross that one off. But there's a lot of other stuff. Yeah. Who am I? What do I want? Where am I going to go from here?
You said before that the roofing had always interested you.
Yeah.
So you're hands-on, you're handy, you're redoing this duplex that some guy botched. And you spend 4 years doing it, and you're like, oh, you know what? Out of all the things that I've done, roofing right? That's the thing that interests me most.
Yeah, I've never really done roofing, actually.
Oh, you hadn't?
No, but as not personally, no.
In 2007, I put a roof on a house, actually.
Well, that's one more than I've personally done, probably. That's not true. I've done a couple, but no, just in terms of contracting businesses, I mean, believe me, it's got its challenges. And there are a lot of things that are hard about it, and there's a lot of risk reward related to it, whatever. But, if you get a good roofing crew, you know what you're doing, you know how to install it, you know which products to use.
Yeah.
He found his niche.
It's a good niche.
You found your niche.
Is.
I have not found my niche yet.
It's a lot more fun than sitting at a desk. For me, I can't do that. It's been hard. M&M Exteriors, starting our business, whatever. It's hard. It's got a lot of challenges to it that we're still dealing with.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it. I mean, I wouldn't, like I said, you couldn't name a number. I'm not practicing law. You couldn't pay me to do it. I don't want to do it.
You're not going to do it. Stop asking me, Dad. I'm not going to do it.
He's given up on that idea now, I think. But, it's funny because my sister and I have had a couple conversations too where she's like, she has at times been ready to not do it anymore either.
Yeah.
So.
What's the classic lawyer life? Like, what's a good lawyer
I mean,
story?
it depends. My dad, he's one of kind of a dying breed, to be honest. He's sort of a generalist.
Yeah.
And most lawyers are not that anymore. Always used to be, but lawyers tend to get pretty specialized these days.
Yeah. And actually, I bet that's a Midwest thing, too.
It is. It's more of a smaller town thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
you have to do everything.
If you're the town lawyer, somebody comes to you and needs a will, you write their will. Their kid gets arrested, you defend them. They get divorced, you represent them in that.
Yeah.
They go to buy property, you do the real estate transaction. I mean, you got to do all these different
It's kind of like the doctor. Same thing with the doctor, like a general practice. It's like the small town doctor does.
And, my dad has done just about everything. From, started off doing a lot of criminal defense, what a lot of lawyers do when you're hanging out a shingle. Get appointed, court appointed. You don't make much money, but, get your name out there.
Yeah.
He's done divorces. He's done wills and he does more trust stuff now, actually, which is...
So he's still practicing now?
Yeah, he'll do it forever, probably.
Nice.
To a certain extent here or there.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of personal injury work. He's done a lot of different things, so...
Hawk Law. Or we just were in South Carolina and there was tons of injury.
Yeah.
Hawk Law.
It's done a real disservice to the justice system, all the advertising, I think. But anyway, so there's that.
How did he take it when?
We can't believe we didn't go into that. Like, I meant to ask you about that. Like, you follow in your dad's footsteps, doing it, and then you're like, peace, I'm out.
He was still. I think my sister's a lawyer too.
Oy.
I think his dream or hope or whatever was that we were going to come back and work with him. And neither of us were terribly interested in moving back to our hometown, to be honest. So that was kind of a non-starter for us. But
looking at you, Jeremy.
I didn't mean it like that.
I'm joking.
So anyway, it was years after I quit practicing law that he was telling me about jobs or recommending that I do whatever, or I could always whatever.
Well, since that makes sense,
like,
had I not known,
not doing that anymore. But you couldn't drag me back to practicing law now.
Really?
No.
But I understand for the 4 years you're working on the house.
Before I do that. No, I'm kidding.
For 4 years just working on that house, like I'm sure that your dad was like,
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't the only thing I was doing, but that was the primary. It was my primary occupation.
You doing odd jobs or something?
No, well, I started to do a few. I mean, I kind of evolved. I kind of evolved only when it got cold. No. That was weird. I don't even know what that meant.
I don't even know why you went there.
It kind of evolved to where I did actually do a few odd jobs for neighbors that they paid me to do. And then I installed for this roofing company in Kansas City, I got to over 2,000 soffit vents, which are air intake vents.
I know what a soffit is
there you go. Very different architecture. It is really in Kansas City. Different building materials. Hardly see vinyl siding. Almost never. Nobody has vinyl siding there. Everybody has some kind of a wood exterior, if you will. But cut a lot of holes in wood soffits and installed
Interesting.
soffit vents in Kansas City. So, yeah, kind of evolved doing that, and then got more into the roofing and the sales and all that. But
He's right here.
when it's so boring, she's leaving. Just walked out of her own podcast.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something else then.
Hey, she's gone. We can talk about college football.
Well, I'm
College
in.
football.
Yeah.
Hank left, and I wanted to make sure he wasn't. I don't know what he was
Pooping in
doing.
the corner.
Yeah, exactly. So what didn't you like about working for the law firm or lawyering in general?
The thing about working for a firm like that, though,
Yeah.
and anybody who ever has knows that this is the truth. It's all about how many hours you bill,
Yeah.
right? The billable hours, the key. Everybody gets, rises or falls based on their
hours.
billable hours.
Yeah.
And, so it's 1/10 of an hour. So every 6 minutes. So it's 0.1, would be. So if I get an email from somebody and I read it, 0.1, for that.
Yeah.
Which we didn't usually bill in increments that small. I mean, it would
yeah.
usually be bigger than that. But so, there's a lot of pressure, first of all, to meet your targets or have enough hours or whatever. And every big law firm says that there isn't. Every big law firm says that they don't have any minimum. Every big law firm says that it's whatever. And then none of those things are true ever at any big law firm. But anyway, one of my stories, I did not hear this personally, but I know that it's true because I know the people involved.
Oh, snap.
One of the other associates that I worked with when I first started, I started in that firm in one section and then kind of moved to a different section that was sort of related. But I mean, they occupied a 24-story building. I mean, I was on the 21st floor and then I moved down to the 20th floor, and
gosh.
it was a big operation. Anyway, the kind of partner, the lead partner of this group that I was with, had a legal assistant who'd been with him forever, and she was a big personality, kind of loud.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody liked her. She was great.
Yeah.
But she was just one of those people that was,
Yeah. Annoying, loud.
well,
Oh, I hate those people.
Talks
she
a
wasn't going
lot.
to take any crap from anybody and whatever. So back then, you'd write down your time and keep a timesheet, right? And then the firm had a computer software system where you had to plug it in and code in whatever for the right customer or the right client, so it would go and get billed to that client for whatever case you were working on, for whatever. Had to put in all these things. So the partner, I wound up doing my own a lot of times, or give it to my assistant to put it in. Partners would all write it out, give it to their assistant, they'd put it in. So one day, associate down the hall from me who was closer to their desk, here's her go. His name was not Bob, but I'll say Bob.
Yeah, you need to say Bob for now.
She goes, Bob, you've got 26 hours on Tuesday. And the computer won't let me put it in. There's only 24 hours in a day. And he goes, well, just roll it over to the next day. She goes, you've already got 24 hours on that day, too. So, to say that there weren't some, shenanigans played at times by people in terms of the hours that they wrote down, that's totally going on. Not just there, but, a lot of firms. And it wasn't widespread or anything like that. But those types of things did happen.
What bothered you about that? Is it the ethics behind it?
Yes, that's one of the things that bothers me about it. Yes.
Dishonest?
My problem was in litigation, especially working for a big law firm. Because remember, it's about how many hours, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a combative personality or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is I'm looking for.
Confrontational.
I'm not confrontational.
Whoa, easy.
Whatever.
Easy.
Yeah. I won't gesture so wildly.
So confrontational.
So, which is, if you don't feel like advocating for your clients, you're probably in the wrong profession. But, my thing is I'd look at these cases and I'd go, I could figure out, for the most part, it's not that hard to figure out what's going to probably happen, right? You do a calculus on each one of them. How likely are they to win? How likely are we to win? What's the total amount of the damages? So what should we just pay them to make this go away, right? So if it's $100,000 in damages and it's 50-50 that they're going to win or we're going to win, let's pay them $50,000 and we'll be done. And that's a simplification, but that's kind of what it works out to be a lot of times. If it's 80-20, well, you pay them less. If it's, if they're likely to win, well, you're going to pay them close to what they're asking for it as to whatever. So my thing was, I'd look at it and go, why don't we just, we're going to wind up paying them this, whatever. Let's just do it now. Let's offer them whatever. That is not the way it works. You got to write down hours on this case for the next 6 months or a year. Oh. And then we're going to wind up doing that. It's kind of, And certainly there's value to, I'm not saying that there isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you might go through discovery and learn all these things, and it turns out you're not going to wind up.
Yeah.
So,
But that kind of shows why that's not your thing. Then,
that was why it was not my
that.
thing, because I didn't want to have to send out, the same interrogatories. We would bill them whatever to put together the discovery, where really we're just changing the names on some form that we always use.
Yeah.
But the first time we did it, it took 2 hours, so we can write down 2 hours for every client.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the, I don't want to call it a game, but that's, kind of how it works.
Are you okay if your old coworkers hear this podcast?
I don't care. I'm not saying anything I'm not saying anything that's untrue. And B, I'm not identifying anybody in a way that would be.
Yeah.
What about Bob?
Whatever. I'm smart enough to know that. I don't think
Bob, there's 26 hours here.
Yeah.
Bob.
Right. But, that was her. She would say it loud enough that that part of the office would hear her yelling at him from her cubicle, which is outside his office, into his office. Bob, you've built 26 hours on this day. Computer won't let me put in. It was like,
oh my god.
Which that was Bob.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
That was not his name.
Okay, we've established that the lawyer life is not for you. So what's something that you've learned, like either a key piece of advice or something you've learned since starting the roofing business?
I do strongly believe if you're going to be entrepreneurial and try to get something off the ground, you better be willing to devote whatever time it takes. Grind whatever grist the mill requires.
Say that one more time.
And we've certainly had to do that.
That's a quote right there. Grind whatever.
That is a quote,
grist.
actually. It's from one of my favorite movies.
Which one?
Master and Commander. But yeah, I mean,
you got to be willing to hustle.
Got to be willing to hustle. You're responsible. I mean, working for other contractors, it was nice sometimes to be able to say, "I'm sorry, I'd love to do that for you, but they won't let me," right? Or whatever. Blame it on whoever. There's nobody to blame it on now, right?
Well, you could try blaming it on Melody.
But yeah, I mean, we didn't come into this with a big plan. We knew how to do this.
Yeah.
We knew how to do, the job, but we didn't know how to necessarily plan the whole business out.
Yeah.
And so we've been just kind of trying to figure it out as we go.
Nice. You've been doing a good job building a good business.
It's been okay.
I mean, you're able to invest money into a podcast studio, so
big dollars in this too.
Yeah.
So it's actually this is a sweet setup. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But I love when we get a customer who's from the Midwest. The nice thing about this area is nobody's really from here except for you.
Except for you.
You grew up here, but everybody else, it seems like, that we run into, they are from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's a transient. People are here for 10 years, and then they go somewhere else, so they get stationed here or they're whatever. So, we meet people from all over. But most of the people that are here are from the East Coast, here, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York.
Yeah, so you're dealing with East Coasters.
Yeah, for the most part. So we love when we get a customer who's from Michigan or, Illinois or wherever. I've actually had a couple of customers from Iowa.
Oh, wow. And you guys talk about Iowa State football.
Yeah, one of them was an Iowa State grad, actually. Lives in Herndon, works for the CIA. I know that because he handed us his mortgage paperwork, and in that it had his application where he had to list his employer, and it was the Central Intelligence Agency. So I don't think he's covert. I think he's probably an analyst or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he wants you to believe.
Yeah, right. But anyway, there is a different mindset.
Yeah.
There's a different ethic about interactions with other people. It's a million little things that I could tell you better when we first moved here, probably. I remember this one vividly, though. It's kind of gone by the wayside now, but even 3-4 years ago, Redbox was still kind of a thing. Yeah. Right? And I haven't gotten a Redbox probably in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But we used to, especially when we first moved here, we didn't have, we were renting or whatever. We're kind of transient. We didn't have, so we would go get a movie from the thing. And Melody and I were there one time. Of course, we can never decide what we want. So they've got that big kind of poster board to the right that's got all the little, all the titles that are in there, right? And so we kind of go up to the machine and we kind of step to the side and we're looking at the thing. And someone comes up next to us and starts using the red box, right? This would never happen in the Midwest. The reason being, someone would see that you were there and they would kind of not want to crowd you or jump in front of you or whatever. And they'd kind of stand back and give you your space and see, like, are you done? Are you going to get a movie? Are you whatever? They'd stand there for 5 minutes watching you dick around, not getting a video, rather than just barge up and use the thing.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? And so when you multiply that times a million daily experiences of all kinds of different things, not just people barging in front of you, but just all these little things where it's just not the same.
My friend who's from Wichita, Texas, Wichita, Kansas, when she moved here, we had this discussion all the time.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I'm in that middle where I don't notice I understand it. It's the empathetic part of me too. I get it.
Yeah.
But because I grew up for, 10 years in New Jersey, like I'm kind of all over the place and I'm probably more direct than. I find
myself doing it sometimes.
Well, yeah.
I've started to drive differently.
Yeah.
You know, you have to. Almost. It's a survival thing. You can't, I'll still sometimes let someone in just because.
Because you're a nice person.
But
you'll tailgate. You will not let that SOB in.
We get tropical smoothie a lot. Millie loves smoothies, right?
Oh.
We get tropical smoothie, sandwiches. We get it for lunch at the office sometimes. We order it, go pick it up. So it's online. You just walk in. You got to go to the counter because they get the smoothies out of the fridge or whatever. But I walk in. These two gals walk in right in front of me. It's like a mom and her daughter, and the mom's a little bit older. And so they go first, and they get up to the counter, and they can't decide what they want. It's like they'd never been in there before. They didn't know what the menu was. Mom's like starting from scratch. Like, what kind of things do they serve here? And I'm behind them going, I got an online order. I just need to tell the guy and have him, whatever.
You just do the little online order.
And it was every part of me to not just kind of like butt in front of them since they're not ready.
Yeah. Did you already pay online?
Yeah, it was done.
Oh, then you could just be like, online order.
Well, I didn't. I stood 10 feet behind them and waited patiently for them to finally finish their transaction until it was my turn.
But it was okay. See, this is where my East Coast...
But I've started to think like that.
Yes.
Where I'm like, really? Figure out what you want and then come back.
So this is the thing. What you just said is because I can see Jeremy's chomping at the bit to weigh in. So you're thinking
that's me.
So it's coming from the place of
I'm a Midwestern.
Really? Yes, you are. That's probably why we got married. But
I'm
Southern. Well,
Virginia.
Yeah,
I'm
Virginia.
from Northern Virginia. So.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I wouldn't be
people that are from Virginia are not that way, from what I've learned.
Well, that's the thing though. But I wouldn't be coming from a place of. Well, no, I shouldn't. I would be willing to wait too, because I'm still whatever. But depending on the situation, if I knew they were going to have side conversation, just deciding what to order, then efficiently, it's not because I'm aggressive or angry. It's just more like, oh, you're talking. Hey, I just need to pick that up right there. Thank you. Goodbye.
I almost did that. If I live here 5 more years, maybe
I could see myself going, excuse me, this is going to take 2 seconds. Hey, I have an online order. Whatever.
Yeah. Also,
you guys figure out what you want to eat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say all that.
Or drink. I don't know. Whatever.
Whatever.
It could be rude.
Of course, I'm not going to say that.
You're like, you get your shit together, and I'm going to get my food.
But if I had walked up behind you and Melody at the Red Box, I would have at least...
I mean, to be fair, we were not directly in front of it. Like, there was room to get to, they didn't have to super crowd us, but it was clear that we were picking out something. We were going to step back to the left and whatever.
Yeah.
I probably would have said something like, hey, are you guys in line?
Yeah.
Even though there's no line.
See, that's me. I'm more confrontational.
Would you mind if I...
I know what I want. Do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah.
And as Midwesterners, we would be like, oh, of course, fine.
Why did we move to Virginia?
Guess we'll just step back then if you're in such a hurry.
You're so insulted.
That would be, yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh my god.
Because you don't do that where we come from.
Wow. See, this is why
it would be rude to the point of you don't do that.
See, this is why I was probably so rude when I would go visit my family in South Dakota, because I was just too much of an East Coast girl.
It's a more relaxed. I was going to say slower lifestyle, but it's
I think that's fair. I think slower. I don't have a problem with the word slower. I don't see that as a negative thing. I do think everybody in Virginia is in a big hurry. I think it has something to do with, because I was thinking about it, I think it has something to do with small town. Mm-hmm. Especially where I'm from, Iowa. There is no big city really in Iowa. The biggest city is Des Moines. It's only about 500,000-600,000 people, right? Mm-hmm. So, and everybody in Des Moines, not everybody, but
how many people?
500,000 or 600,000, 550 maybe.
Oh, okay.
The biggest metro area is actually where I'm from. The Omaha area is probably 800,000 or something.
Yeah, that's big.
You know, it's close, not 1 million, but closer. But everybody is tied to rural, small-town Iowa in some way. My parents both grew up in little towns.
My dad, 1,300 people in his town, but he lived out in the farm, far away from all that.
Right,
but
yeah. Well, my mom really grew up on a farm. My dad grew up in a town of like 500 people, you know. My grandma, all my cousins would go to visit or whatever. And small town, you don't want to be the jerk because everybody will know that you're a jerk. And you got to see all these same people over and over and over. The person at the red box is anonymous to me. I'll never see them again in my life.
Yeah.
And if you do, you're going to let them have it.
I'll remember that face forever. I'll tell you right now.
We're gonna do a police sketch.
Yeah.
We're gonna load it up on the Facebook group, and everyone's gonna know who that person was. In the Midwest, like you said, you let people in. You're on the highway, you move over, you let people in. It's just, that's how you do things.
Common courtesy.
Yeah.
You let one. I mean, if we're all in a parking lot after an event and we're trying to get out,
you zipper.
I let someone in, and then I go, and then the person behind me lets someone in, and then they go. It's just kind of it's a system that everyone knows.
Yes, you just do it.
Here, you got to just barge in front of somebody.
Exactly. So we were
then tailgate the person in front of you, so nobody else can get in.
Exactly. Aggressive. But if you wanted to turn, or if you were turning and then you were going to let someone go in front of you, I think we heard once, like someone sued the driver who let someone in because then the person who they let in hit them. And so it was like if they wouldn't have let him in. And so then it became this thing like...
Well, I'll take that case.
Yeah.
I'll go back to practicing law for that one.
Yeah, for the Good Samaritan.
I'll defend them on that one. Because they're not... Here's one of those misconceptions. It's one of those things that story makes me sick. That someone would think that our justice system would allow you to win. No, of course not.
Good to know.
Of course not.
Good to know.
But McDonald's had to start putting caution hot on their coffee cups because somebody sued.
Well, and here's the thing, too. You're going to make me mad.
Oh, my gosh. This is just getting good.
But that's actually... The popular story about that is a sliver of the truth about what really happened on that, by the way.
Yeah. She had like 3rd-degree burns.
She had massive burns, hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills.
Yeah. And it wasn't just hot. It was like...
And you know that McDonald's corporate policy was to maintain their coffee that hot. Why? Because it stays fresher longer. And so they gave her that coffee that was too hot to an elderly woman who then spilled it on herself. Not only that, she did win a judgment at trial that paid just for her injuries for this over hot coffee that they served to her, which was then reduced on appeal to where she wasn't even fully compensated for her loss. I mean, that whole story got blown out of proportion to an extent where, like, McDonald's was in the wrong. Yeah. They were clearly in the wrong.
Yeah.
But somehow we've got a jackpot justice system. Don't get me started.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, this is so good.
It's one of those things that is just, it's wrong, is what it is. What has happened and the public perception of the greatest system of justice that the world has ever seen is the United States court system. Nobody believes in it anymore because the popular line is that it's all, somehow a bunch of BS and it's not related to reality and that you could get sued for letting somebody in front of you if they get hit. No, not under any circumstances ever would that ever happen. It's not possible.
Good to know.
So,
this is why I love flushing it out with people.
Let's flush it out some more.
I love bringing up random shit you hear. This is one of those
topics that...
And then you let people dispel it.
If I could get the world to sing in perfect harmony, everybody would know that.
Okay,
you
Matt,
know,
I asked you last week, what do you want people to know? And you were like, I don't care. They don't need to know anything. And now
I do want them to know that. Yeah.
suddenly we bring up McDonald's hot coffee lawsuit,
my God,
and
that's the one
your
everybody
blood
talks
is
about.
boiling hotter than the McDonald's water.
I'm
Yeah.
glad I brought
There's
it up.
all kinds of, I mean, and there's a ton of those stories that, get told, and it's not really the truth.
Yeah.
It's not at all the
So
truth.
what I hear about frivolous lawsuits. What happens to those?
They get dismissed.
But how do you still have to pay a lawyer?
What, if you're defending it?
Yeah, no.
Well,
if you
for
get
about
sued,
5 minutes, yeah.
okay. But still,
I mean, if you're
even if you don't lose the battle,
but
if it still costs you money
For
and
me, it would be
headache
like-
to
well,
be
if
sued,
somebody files a lawsuit against you that is, whatever, you can ask that the court award you your costs. You can get a judgment against them for that. Now, it doesn't happen that often, but you could.
Right. I need somebody to pay for Babs
Yeah,
26
right.
hours.
I was thinking about this too. I told you we represented Ford when I was there. Ford got sued by a guy who was working for a contractor at their Ford. Ford has a plant, I think they still do, in Kansas City. They make one of their truck lines or something, I think. Guy's there doing some painting or something. He works for this contractor. Whatever. Falls off the scaffolding, whatever, gets hurt, sues Ford. Right? So, comes across my desk, hey, would you work on this motion for summary judgment is what it's called, which is when you file a, let's use the word frivolous lawsuit, and you have not stated a claim on which you can obtain legal relief. It gets dismissed by this mechanism at the outset. It's very early in. So I wrote a motion for summary judgment, and it got awarded. We got granted, and they dismissed this lawsuit because this guy was an independent contractor. His recourse was workers' compensation through his own employer. It had nothing to do with Ford. He couldn't sue Ford. He was not allowed to. There was no whatever.
yeah.
I think that was the case.
Interesting.
But anyway, what was funny about that was when we won that, everybody was like, they couldn't remember the time that we, and it wasn't because I was magic or whatever. Like it was a kind of a slam dunk. But that said two things to me. One, that case was an unusual one because they don't usually, whoever filed it was an idiot.
Yeah.
Obviously, they should be disbarred. But two, don't think the firm was necessarily in that big of a hurry to get rid of cases that fast.
Oh. Yeah.
Usually, I don't know.
You should have billed.
But
some
we won
time.
that one. But I'm serious. I had like partners go, they couldn't remember the last time they'd ever won one on summary judgment. I was like, really?
Oh.
I feel like I should say thank you for being our male guest.
First man.
Yeah.
Well, minus Jeremy. I mean, you've been on the podcast, but
I've
I've been on all but two.
I've set a bar.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Low.
Yeah,
Probably.
thank you.
know.
No.
Well,
But that's
Yeah.
fine.
it's a relative thing.
It's a
Yeah.
benchmark now.
Yeah. Where are we going to go from
We'll
here?
see how few downloads you get of this episode.
Yeah.
it
we'll
all
see.
depends on how much you share it.
Yeah. You got to hop on the Facebook.
Oh, I got to tell people, listen to me on the podcast.
You don't have to, but you can.
That's not really me. I'm probably not
I
going
know
to do
it's
that.
not. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. You don't need to do
We'll
that.
we'll
That's
take
my
care of
job.
that.
If
That's-
anybody ever comes up to me and goes, oh, I heard you on the podcast, I'm going to go, oh, God, what'd I say?
Oh,
Really?
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd be like, oh, you didn't listen to it?
Yeah.
No,
are you?
I was
Yeah.
there.
This is probably my least favorite topic, myself.
Okay. Let's do a new episode then about a better topic.
Killers.
I don't enjoy it, talking about myself.
Oh,
It's not really
Why
my
not?
thing. I don't know.
where's that coming from? What?
I understand.
I think I don't want to be judged, I think is what it is. If you want to get deep,
I do. Yeah.
I don't.
Why are you afraid of being judged? Did you feel
Well,
judged a
same
lot
reason
as a
everybody
child?
Oh, no, I love being judged.
Yeah.
Judge
Yeah.
me.
It's the best, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
whether you like me or not.
You're awesome.
Everyone, at all times.
Why do you think I'm so like, let me tell jokes, affirm me, everyone,
Yeah.
give me the
But
praises.
that's not judge me.
It's positively judge me, positively judge
That's
me.
what Seinfeld says about being a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
He's like, you get judged every 7 seconds. You
Yep.
know, you tell a joke, do they laugh or not? That would be hard.
That's
But-
why I have only
So I think
baby
I'm-
stepped there.
I think I'm probably calculated is a bad word to use to describe
Calculated
myself,
vulnerability
but,
is a very big
I think
thing.
I probably try to share the good parts of me and maybe not the other ones. Mm-hmm. Whereas some people are just kind of an open book, you know, whatever you get the good, you get the bad.
Yeah.
People like those people more, to be honest. I think because they do have that vulnerability and whatever, and that's attractive.
Yeah. You've got it though, but
I don't think so.
to a certain degree you do. You've shared a little to crack the ice.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah.
Probably.
Calculated vulnerability.
Maybe. I hope it worked out.
Thanks
okay.
for being willing to be judged.
Yeah. Well, this is a lifelong dream for me because I've always known I have a face for radio.
You do
So
have a
this is
face
good
for
fit.
radio.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
As soon as you walked in, I
Yes.
thought, man.
You know what? This is perfect. This
well,
television, no.
No.
The first thing I thought was this guy needs to be judged.
But yes, yeah.
Can't wait to be judged. It's my favorite thing to do. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Happy to.
And thank you for believing in me. That's huge.
You're welcome. I mean, I knew you could do this.
Thank you.
To the extent I nudged you, it was just, will you do this?
That
Not can you do it.
you
Will you do it?
that was actually probably that was a game changer.
And that's a wrap for now.
Thanks for listening to Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle. Music provided by twinmusicom.org. Song titled Night at the Dance Hall. Sound editing by me, Jeremy Spittle. A special thanks to our studio sponsor, M&M Exteriors. Visit their website at mmexteriors.com for all of your roofing, siding, and gutter needs in the Northern Virginia area. Visit our website at flushingitout.com and be sure to subscribe. This has been a Spitfire production.
That was the greatest thing I've ever heard.